Okay, let's talk about the third thing, and that is sound. Sound. You can get a decent quality microphone that plugs into an older iPhone or maybe into whatever brand of phone you have and does an adequate job. If you've got a new iPhone, it's a lot harder because they don't have the jack that allows a microphone to be plugged in. You're going to have to figure out another option. I'm using an older iPhone right now. This isn't I'm not recording on the iPhone that I carry around. I'll sometimes make videos on that one, but I'll just have to use the microphone inside the phone itself, which is a really good mic and can do a great job, so it may work for you, but chances are you'll have a harder time with the sound. So work with the sound, and here's the number one thing you need to think through, is you've got to practice, you've got to do trials, you've got to check it out beforehand and not assume that the sound is going to be good. I have one microphone that's about a 9-foot microphone, so I can get further away from the camera. This one's kind of limited as to how far away I can go, and sometimes I want to be able to do something a little further away. This cord generally does pretty good and doesn't give me too much trouble, and has actually just been a really good mic. I think you can get this, I'll try to look up and put a link at the bottom or something. This microphone is like $20 max, and so plugs into an older iPhone, does really a great job. But test it out, practice. One of the things I suggest you do is before Sunday, on Friday night or Saturday during the day, Friday night would be preferably, or sometime Friday, is you do kind of a rehearsal, you set everything up, and you get a few of your church members or leaders to tune in on Facebook, and you go live on Facebook and just call it Testing for Sunday. Put that in the subject title if you want, and then run it live and ask them to respond as they're sitting at their computer, like, is too much light, not enough light? Kind of walk through these things. Am I framed well? You say, well, I can see all that right there, right? No, it's really good to have someone remote actually experiencing what you're going to do. You bring a certain prejudice when you're actually in the room. You're not fully objective when you're playing something back when you're actually in the room itself. You can do that here, but you're going to hear it differently. Let someone in their house or on their phone watch it live for you and respond to you. Or when you finish the live video, have them then call you, or you call them, and have them tell you what their experience was the volume. And a lot of times you get 3 or 4 people watching it live that are strategically watching for you to critique it. Give them a little list of things. How's the sound? Does it sound good to them? Someone will say, I have to turn my volume all the way up. I can barely hear you. Okay, well, you're going to have to work on the sound issue. You ask about, hey, how well am I lit? Can you see me well? Is there anything annoying you? When we set this up, we have on Sunday morning several cords that run along the side of that wall there, and when we're worshiping, we got worship team up here, no one is bothered by that or annoyed by that, but on Sunday when we were on Saturday when we were testing it, we had one of our leaders watching from his house, and he said, you know what, those cords back there are just really distracting to me. So we had to move the cords, we had to make adjustments, and he literally called somebody on the phone while we were on Facebook Live, one of our other leaders that was here, and he told us, yeah, no, move it to the right. And while he was watching on Facebook Live on his computer, we were doing these things live, and he was telling, okay, now that's out of view, that looks better. So that's part of it, going back to the framing, but it also relates to the sound, it also relates to the visual. So let's move on to the next thing, and that is this, clothing, what to wear. I like blue, I like muted blues. I kind of go a little bit bright with blue sometimes. I like green okay. Red kind of can be kind of loud and can be a little bit, I used this term earlier, hot on the camera. White is the worst. Black can be good, it depends on your background, okay? And it depends on your lighting. And it also depends on, and this is, you got to think through the dandruff issue. You're closer now, and I know several people have dandruff, and you got to make sure that you don't, maybe before you get up to speak, you shake it off or whatever, but or you have whoever's leading worship for you. Make sure there's no dandruff issues, because the camera will pick it up at this close of a level, so you might want to avoid black if that's an issue. But avoid white. I've found sometimes busy patterns don't transfer well over into the pixels of some people's screens, and sometimes if the feed is not running well. You know how when things will get a little grainy, that it can be real annoying with busy patterns, so tend to go with solid colors. So there's some stuff when it comes to colors. Of course, you wear something appropriate that matches who you are and kind of what your level of tradition versus contemporary is in your church. Also, you may be in a suit and tie, or you may be casual. Like I usually am kind of business casual. Summer months, I usually have a collared shirt. But anyway, so do try that out as well. Check on that. So that's clothing. Okay, here's something else you need to think about, Pastor, as you are preaching. That is, it is sometimes difficult to keep your eye trained on the camera. I notice I've even struggled in this video because typically I don't see myself, but I've got the camera turned around to make sure it's framed well, and because I'm trying to teach you some stuff on this. So generally speaking, you want to make sure that you keep your eye on the camera. You're talking to someone, just like we train people. Look people in the eyes when you're talking to them. Look people in the eyes when they're talking to you. It's the same way with this. If you're like me, you're used to, when you preach, scanning the congregation, looking at different sections, trying to be an excellent communicator that makes eye contact with as many people as possible. Fix your eye contact on a person for at least 5 seconds. Try to before you go to the next person, etc. Just some good basic communication, oral communication, sermon delivery skills. But this is totally different. Your audience is seeing you, your congregation is seeing you, your prospects who are watching on Facebook, strangers, non-believers who are tuning in that saw you went on Facebook Live. This medium of using this technology, you need to keep your eye on the camera. You need to keep your eye on that little eye in the corner. It's easy for you to move, and I even caught myself doing this because of my movement here, at looking at myself rather than, and I don't know if you see, if I get close enough, you can see when my eye goes to look at myself at the screen instead of looking over here where I know. So make sure you know where the camera lens is and focus in on that. If you like this video, please share it and also subscribe. Thanks.